Hello Ratbags, it's Jade Plays Games back with an important video talking about 7 Days to Die. If you don't know, Telltale Games, the publisher of 7 Days to Die on console, has now decided to shut its doors. It's reduced the majority of its workforce. I told you guys about this in a video yesterday. Go and give that one a watch if you want more information and you want my take on why Telltale Games had such a decline and why they had to let go of over 200 members of staff. Now, in that video, I did briefly mention that it may affect 7 Days to Die and the brand new Stranded Deep, which is also published by Telltale Games Publishing. We've got more information about that now, and I'm going to give it to you straight. There is a lot of clickbait going around at the moment that says 7 Days to Die is finished on console, that the game won't receive any more updates, and it may not even still be available. That is absolute baloney. I'm going to be giving you all the information, telling you why 7 Days to Die is going to be fine. It may be problematic for Stranded Deep in terms of content that's going to be coming out, but there is still lots and lots of good things to come. Aside from the Telltale's arm that obviously makes their games like The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones and the Batman games, of course they have their publishing arm, and that's what we're more interested in. They've recently just launched RGX Showdown, which is a Wipeout inspired racing game that's come to Xbox One and the PS4, and Stranded Deep was meant to be the next big game. Okay, so in 2016, 7 Days to Die was released on console on Xbox One and the PS4. It was published by Telltale Games and it was ported over by Iron Galaxy. Now, Iron Galaxy are a separate studio. They're not owned by anyone like Telltale Games. They just work for themselves, just like Pimps, the makers of 7 Days to Die. Iron Galaxy have been known throughout the years for being able to port games over quickly to console, and they made their own game earlier on this year called Extinction. For the last 2 years, Iron Galaxy have handled the majority of ports for updates, and this is why this is relevant. Console, Xbox One and PS4 was meant to get a big update at some point in the next few months. It's been over a year since the last content update hit console. Now, it's been over a year for PC as well, but at this point, by the time the PC Alpha 17 comes out, which you can see here in this post, Xbox and PS4 will be a whole 2 updates behind, which nearly amounts to 2 years. Not the best state of affairs, and if you've watched any of my 7 Days to Die videos in the last 6 months, you'll know I've been quite critical. I've given you guys the heads up when I've spoken about the update coming to console, and I've been quite critical of their plans with Alpha 17 on PC. Just because Telltale Games has gone under doesn't mean it's going to affect 7 Days to Die. Here you can see it here. We are deeply saddened by the news of the Telltale layoffs. Our hearts go out to our friends and partners over there. Rest assured, the Pimps are committed to the future 7 Days to Die franchise and will continue to update and support 7 Days on every platform we can. As more information becomes available, the Pimps will be issuing statements. On a more upbeat note, Alpha 17 is coming along, folks, and it's going to be awesome. Cheers, Richard. Now, there's a few things you need to know about publishing your game on Xbox One and the PS4, which is very different from what you might think. When you've got big companies like Electronic Arts or Activision, they generally decide what their developers do. 9 times out of 10, these big companies have bought these studios, they own the studios outright, and so they can dictate exactly what gets done. It's why when you see lots of interviews with the latest Call of Duty Black Ops 4, the devs will be talking and saying that lots of changes came from Activision. In the past as well, DICE and other companies that work for EA have also stressed how the developers have had to get permission from publishers over certain things. At the end of the day, these big publishers want to make as much money as possible, and they generally aren't there for the gamer. That isn't to say every publisher is like that though. There is frequently a new uprising in publishers that basically just help games get a little bit more attention, get themselves onto retail shelves and generally launch games. And this is what Telltale Games is a part of. They are not a big publisher where they can dictate and tell developers what to do. They simply help developers port their games from PC to console. Bottom line. Now, Joel, the lead creator of 7 Days to Die, put this statement out on Twitter yesterday. Telltale shutting down will not impact 7 Days PC in the slightest. Alpha 17 is still coming. It's the biggest, most awesome build, bigger than any DLC, and 75% of a sequel. That is why it's taken so long. It will be worth the wait though, and we'll go gold in 2019. That's pretty big news for 7 Days to Die fans. The game's been out for 7 years and still nowhere near a release date. So to get something a bit more concrete that says it's coming out next year is huge news. Now you can see my response there, typical, not one mention for console fans. That's when they then did update their forum And guys, honestly, judging by this post, they don't seem that bothered. 7 Days to Die and Fun Pimps are owned on their own. They're an independent studio. They reached out to Telltale, or Telltale reached out to them to get the game onto console. Telltale linked them up with Iron Galaxy, who then went ahead and helped create 7 Days to Die on console. These guys are the guys that have been porting the game ever since. Now, it's not 100% clear, but at some point I do believe the Fun Pimps have been more directly involved in porting over the updates to console. Now you can see in this forum post from 7 Days to Die forum that Claire, the community manager, stresses in August that they are still working on the next update. It's taken more time than they thought, but it would be worth it. The upgrade to a brand new engine, Unity 18 or 17 or whatever one it was, is going to be substantially good for the 7 Days to Die franchise as a whole. So in my mind, that means 7 Days to Die has become more of a Fun Pimps game. It's no longer associated with Iron Galaxy. Iron Galaxy never talk about 7 Days to Die on their Twitter feeds or as part of their social media. Iron Galaxy themselves have had problems releasing Extinction earlier on this year, which was a huge flop and disappointment. So when YouTubers are going out saying that 7 Days to Die is going to go under, they are absolutely talking out of their arse. Telltale gave Fun Pimps some money up front to get the game on console. Reportedly, some of this money went into extending the PC development time. Although they'd made millions on PC, of course, over the years it's been that long, they needed more money to complete development. Without the sales from Xbox and PS4, there is no doubt about it, the PC game would still be in a hell of a shit state. Frequently in game publishing, when publishers do this, it's on Ionis that they will take a percentage back from every single sale of the game. So, really, 7 Days to Die is still owned by Fun Pimps. The IP is owned by Fun Pimps. If Telltale have bought the IP to Fun Pimps, you can bet they probably would have done a lot more with the game, putting in microtransactions or skins. But no, what instead the money does is just secures that Telltale have the publishing rights for the game on Xbox One and PS4, and so it means that they can get majority of the sales when they sell every single copy. Telltale made more money from 7 Days to Die being on console than they did their own actual game, The Walking Dead. Partly to the amount of copies sold, but also partly because the IP wasn't as expensive to secure money for. When you think about the franchise of The Walking Dead, how much money that earns, whether it's a comic book, a film, a TV, whatever it is, you're going to be paying a substantial amount of money. That's why Telltale games have gone bust, because they've just spent so much money on IP. But of course, with a more original work, a lesser known work like 7 Days to Die, they didn't have to pay as much to secure the IP rights. Now, I use the term IP in the loosest sense because Fun Pimps still retain the overall right. Telltale don't own and control the game, they just simply helped them get the game available on Xbox and PS4. They gave them some money up front, they went ahead and done the deals with the development teams to get it ported over with Iron Galaxy, and they secured promo and advertising with Xbox Live and PSN. All too frequently, these deals have a limited time, so the publisher will have the rights for a certain amount of time. That could be for life, it could be for 3 years, it could be for 5 years. And then when they want to renew any partnerships, they can go down the route of negotiations. But again, the way that Telltale have operated in the past, they haven't gone down the route of Activision or EA Games or any other big publisher really that normally does stuff. They will just have got a percentage of money that they make from every copy of the sale, and they certainly don't hold on to the rights and control anything in terms of what that game will do when it comes out on console. Otherwise, Fun Pimps would have to get permission to redo a sequel, make a spin-off, and that simply isn't the case. Telltale do not own Fun Pimps. And that is it. They don't call the shots on the game, they don't call the shots on updates, they don't call the shots on what happens next. It's all usually paid for up front. When games are updated on the Xbox One and PS4, it's not the publisher that does the updating, it's the console devs. Iron Galaxy are not owned by Telltale Games. Iron Galaxy were paid a substantial amount of money to port the game over. This includes frequent updates. When these contracts are signed for, it usually includes content updates for the next year, maybe even up to 3, maybe even up to 5 years worth. It all depends on that game, what state it's in, and how committed the devs are to producing more updates for the game in the future. The way that gaming works nowadays, pretty much every game you've ever played will need a day one update, and it needs frequent updates for patch fixes. More and more games are being released incomplete, or in a way that they need extra content to keep their fans playing. 7 Days to Die is no different, hence why everyone's so happy and excited about Alpha 17 on PC, as it revamps the game massively. And even though it's a bit old, Alpha 16 just having electricity on console would be a huge step, not to mention some other brand new map points of interest. Again, a crucial thing to remember, Telltale Games hasn't gone bankrupt. Normally when a company goes bankrupt, they basically abscond from fixing or redoing any of the contract work they have promised. They can leave people in the lurch, they can leave creditors without their money, and it's a simple case of just saying, hey, we're not going to do anything anymore, the company's gone. But that's not what happened. Telltale Games has reduced its staff, it's gone to a shell of its former self in a bid to stop bankruptcy. As you can see from their statement, their 25 employees will be staying on to fulfill the company's obligations to its board and partners. I stress the partners because games like 7 Days to Die are part of that partnership program. So this huge outcry that 7 Days to Die won't be updated on console is complete baloney. If it turns out that the devs decide to say this, or there's going to be any sort of problem with updates for console in the future, that won't be down to Telltale, that will be down to Pimps. Pimps own the IP for 7 Days to Die. They did not sell lock, stock and shock every single idea or everything associated to Telltale Games. Hence why their PC business is absolutely fine, and why they can put out statements on their forums detailing that they're going to be okay and they're going to carry on supporting across consoles. Will there be problems? Yes. Will there be some delays? More than likely. But it doesn't mean 7 Days to Die is dying on console. At worst, it means we're going to have to wait a considerable amount of time for them to decide to get another publisher or possibly even another development team to port or do any further work on the game for console. At best, Iron Galaxy have a contract. They'll be mandated to carry on working as they've received payment for that contract, and so any updates that come will be fulfilled. What Pimps need to do right now is clarify exactly who is responsible for the game. Once you make these kind of payments to studios, it's done and dusted. Unless the game gets a substantial brand new content, or it's going to be a huge massive undertaking to revamp something a la year 2 of like Destiny, your payment is done for the work you've already done and any future work you'll update it to. No game developer like Iron Galaxy runs on an update by update basis. They are not sitting there waiting for Telltale Games to say, here you go, here's $50,000, get the update for the latest 7 Days to Die on console. This is all paid for years in advance in big contracts. And to all intents and purposes, Iron Galaxy are the ones that we'll be looking for an update from. But I honestly do believe Pimps have been helping out in that situation and have taken back much more control over what content comes to console. If I'm wrong, please go ahead and correct me, anyone that works at Pimps. Or maybe you should just tell the world and actually post something that says who is responsible for what on your forums. So, bottom line, 7 Days to Die isn't going to stop developing on console. There may be a period of time where it may be a bit slow, but I truly honestly believe nothing's going to affect any update that should be coming in the next few months. As I've stated, that work would have been paid for already. Now, unfortunately, there may be a different story with Stranded Deep. Stranded Deep are pretty much in the same situation that 7 Days to Die and Pimps were when they initially ported the game over. You can bet Telltale Games have given a lump sum of money to Stranded Deep to exclusively put the rights onto console, and the game coming out on October the 9th, that may be in jeopardy right now. According to Stranded Deep, they're actively gathering info in light of the recent announcements from Telltale. From their side, there's been a lot of hard work from everyone involved, and they'll be doing their absolute everything to ensure the release and success of Stranded Deep on consoles. We'll keep you posted. That really doesn't seem like a developer that doesn't know what it's doing. That seems like a developer that knows it may be a hiccup, but it's not going to be the end of the world. At worst, with their situation, Telltale Games will not be able to fulfill the money they promised to Stranded Deep, or they've already paid it again by this point. Listen, Xbox Live and PSN aren't Steam. You don't just put your game up on the platform and there you go, job done within a day. There's stringent rules that have to apply whenever you're updating a console game onto these platforms. Normally it takes around a month of certification to make sure the game is correctly working and running. Now I'm not talking about bugs and issues, because we all know Ark, Conan and any other early access game has had umpteen problems. What they will be testing is the viability, making sure it's secure, making sure that no one can use the game to either put malware onto any device or any sort of hacking. Xbox and PS4 also don't usually spend any extra money on web space unless they have to. They'll have been paid by Telltale Games to do some extra promo across their networks, And so if the game is showing up on the storefront, you can rest assured that probably means it's going to be okay. Best case scenario, all the money has gone through already, Telltales have paid Xbox Live, paid the PSN network for all the certification that needed to be done, and the game is gold and is going to be released on October the 9th. Any future updates, there may be a bit of considerable amount of time. It all just depends on how much money Telltale have paid for work to the person or team that ported the game over. Now, digging around, I did find that I do believe it's Fun Labs that are actually porting this game over. Again, it's going to be the similar situation to Iron Galaxy. Telltale will have paid for a substantial contract of updates and content to be added to the Stranded Deep game, and it will be up to Fun Labs to fulfill that. If Telltale Games didn't pay them off correctly, or there is installments that have to come, then of course that may be a problem. By rights though, any IP or any rights to the game will go back directly to Stranded Deep or to the Fun Pimps for their game. And so they're free to then carry on either working with the team themselves, directly funding any port costs, or finding another publisher to take over. There's no 100% guarantee we're going to receive more updates on console, but there's certainly more chance of that happening than there is not. Not every situation is the same, and there will certainly be some games companies out there that literally have to just give up ownership of their product to get it on the shelves. But this is not the case with 7 Days to Die. I'll keep you up to date on Stranded Deep, I'll keep you up to date on 7 Days to Die. Make sure you've got notifications turned on. I am Jade Plays Games, I'll see you rat bags later.